Will Tiao, Tiao Properties. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, Scott Nell?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been looking forward to this because we've known each other for years, and your energy is infectious, which is a compliment. Yes, you have such a great energy. You're one of the smartest guys in the business, but you also have a creative side.
Well, that's
Um,
what I love about you, Scott, is that we have that in common, right? We were just talking about this, that we both come from that world of actors and acting and entertainment and all that stuff.
that was a long time ago, but I've got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed that fellow actor here, or former actor, such a nice looking guy with such shitty light and a vent right behind your right ear. That's how we're doing it, right?
How we're doing it, man.
Wow. Okay. Do I should have sent over a crew for you or something, you know?
Seriously, I need to make up the whole thing.
Okay. All right. Okay. I see where I rank. I see. You're not getting paid a dime for this, so what the hell? All right. So, but I will say this, Will, that what's one of the great things about you is you're a real giver. Anytime I ever need anything or I have questions, especially when it comes to rentals, because you do property management among other things, you know that world so well, and so I can call you and go, okay, what can I do with this deposit? What can I do if it's a pet deposit? And you just talk me through it. You make sense of it real quick, and that way it keeps me out of trouble with my own rental. And then everyone who talks about you raves about you, appreciates you. I know you do multifamily also, and the people that I've referred in that world to you also have such great things to say about just you as a person, you as a professional, and your knowledge base in those areas. So I just want you to know that I really appreciate you in those areas of your business, and I'm a big fan. I'll just say that.
I so appreciate you saying that, Scott. I was thinking, we bill ourselves as a full service, team. We can do the brokerage, we can do the sales. If
Right.
someone wants to, if someone has an investment property, we can do the management of it.
Mm-hmm.
If they're interested in investing, we can work with them on the developer side as well. But I was thinking about you, Scott, and your business, and I really think like the term full service really applies to what you and your team do.
Oh,
It's, they're, you guys are not, obviously we all know a lot of realtors, we all know a bunch of residential realtors, but I think
but we're
what's,
not going to talk about them
we're
here.
not going to talk about them. But I think really what sets you apart is you are truly a full service, right? You are someone who, when someone engages you, I mean, we all know what amazing things you do with the properties in terms of the marketing and where your film background comes into play, with developing the videos and all the shots and all the lighting and all that and making the
Love it.
house look amazing. But beyond that, because you know so many people, right? You really like anybody can come to you and whatever they need, they can come to you for. So that to me is truly full service. Like somebody who can really like fully take care of a client. Like that's what we strive to do. And I feel like that's what you do on your side.
Well, I definitely appreciate that because I've been in the business for close to 20 years, and when I got my first check, I was like, "Damn, that's a lot of money." And then I thought, "What? I need to really show that I earned this." So that's why we have the best photographers, the best videographers. We always do a twilight. We always do drones. We always do 3D imaging. We always are, just want to be top of the line, high tech. And what's great is I become kind of the director, and then I've got this team that makes me look so good. And so I just am very, very
Every good
fortunate.
actor has a team behind them.
There you go. There you go. Well,
Every good
obviously,
actor has
I
a
was
team
I
behind them.
wasn't I wasn't a good I wasn't a good director in this shoot because that shitty lighting is just really still getting to me.
But I also want to say the other thing is like you work with, I mean, you literally work with A-list celebrities all the way down, all not down, but all the way to someone first investing, first buying, right? I
Yes.
mean, literally, it's everyone in between, and you give them all the same service. So that's what I'm talking about. It's
Well,
like
I
you
appreciate
really,
that.
like truly, like you are full service, no matter wherever they are in their lives,
Right.
and that's what we strive to do as well. We work with first time investors, people who are just thinking about buying their first investment property, all the way to people who own like hundreds of properties, whatever, wherever it is that they need. And we help them strategize for
I
that.
love
And
it.
whatever we can do. So in that way, we're very similar, just in slightly in different markets. That's it.
Well, I appreciate your kind words, definitely. But enough about us. let's um, let's talk about, because you've been in real estate for how many years?
So good question. So I I've had my license for 12 years,
Uh huh.
but I've been an investor in real estate going back 3 decades.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
And I grew up in the business. My dad started off as a college professor and then started buying apartment buildings near campus for student housing. So I grew up in this. I grew up in property management and that whole kind of
Uh-huh.
multifamily investment world.
Okay, so you've got a lot of so you've been in it for a long time, which is great, which is apparent because of your like just whenever anyone asks you a question, it's like, well, yeah, this. Oh wait, there's one more thing too that you should tell people about is you do the tenant in common as well, which my head spins on that. But why don't, if you don't mind, let's start with that a little bit because I'd like to hear a snapshot, or maybe you even have a story there of something that happened because that's an interesting world that a lot of people don't deal in.
Yeah. So, okay. So when people hear tenants in common, right? Let's say you and I, Scott, we decide to buy a property together. Let's say it's just a duplex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in a regular tenant in common, right? You and I, let's just say we own 50-50, like on the screen, right?
Huh?
And in a tenant in common, if something happens to me, then my part goes to my heirs. And if something happens to you, your part goes to your heirs. However, and in a normal tenant in common, we would both have full access to the property.
Uh-huh.
Even if I own 30%, you own 70%. As tenants in common, we both have 100% access to the whole property.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I do that's a little bit different is that we have figured out a way to do what's called space allocation, TIC,
Mm-hmm.
which is to say that we assign a space that only I could go into or you could go into. So let's say, for example, we decide to buy a duplex together. Make it easy. It's $1 million, this duplex.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are each going to put in $500,000. Okay? Super easy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let's say they're the same. They're both 2-bedroom, 2 baths, whatever. So we both buy it at 500,000, but we agree that I'm going to take unit A and you're going to take unit B, and we're not going to go into each other's units. Okay. So later on, say whatever, I have family, whatever, I decide to move out, right? And I want to sell it. Now, but now that it's worth more, right, than it was when we first bought it, right?
Right.
So let's say I sell my part of the tick to someone else for $750, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, this property, it's just one property. We happen to own it 50-50. We owned it together, right? Mm-hmm. That means there's one property tax bill. There's probably one sewer, like utility bill, one insurance bill, all those shared expenses, one gardener, all that stuff that we've agreed to share. Okay. Uh-huh. Now, all of a sudden, someone buys my share. Okay. Mm-hmm. I move out. New person comes in. They buy it for $750. Mm-hmm. Okay. So $250 more than what I paid for it. Right. But that affects you too, because now your property tax goes up. Right. Oh. Maybe their utilities go up or whatever it is, right? So the way we structure these things is so that whoever comes in and buys the next piece, they have to pay the difference.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, so like
so the existing person doesn't go up. The person
exactly.
who buys in, and then they take the extra cap. Oh, wow.
Exactly. Exactly. So you're not affected by what you have to pay anymore, but the new person has to pay the difference.
Great.
And they still can't go into your unit.
That is so funny. See, now you just took a very, very difficult concept of a different structuring and made it so understandable. That's awesome. I love that.
Well, and we have experience, and I've been an investor in a property that we did this with. It was actually 8 units. So you can imagine like how many, and by the way, each unit sold for a different price. Okay. So, and even though they're all 2-bedroom, 2 baths, but because of the location and the layouts, we just got different prices. And And so, but everybody has a different, like, percentage of what they're supposed to pay because of that. So we've done it as investors and we've done it as brokers. One of the tricky things about TIC, buying a TIC, is that most banks, most lenders won't touch a TIC.
Right.
Because say I can't pay my mortgage, right? My part of the mortgage. Well, okay, so I can't pay my part of the mortgage, but you're still paying yours.
Right.
Are they going to foreclose on the whole property? No, they can't. I only own half of it.
Talk about real estate hell.
Yeah, that's true real estate hell. So there's only a few lenders who actually do this. So we direct people to those lenders, and that kind of throws people off because everybody's like, oh, I'm pre-qualified. I've got a condo loan. I've got a single family home loan. Those don't work in a typical TIC. You have to find a lender who will accept a TIC, type of scenario.
I love it. You know what we need to do is I'm going to pull out some clips, of course, but at the end, I think I've got to get you the raw footage, or at least pull out the part on tenant common because you explained it so beautifully. I would think that you'd want to use that for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, give us some more real estate hell. You're with Scott Nell.
Okay. So I was thinking about this, like what are some of my war stories? So okay, I have to read this. This is ideal primarily in multifamily sales. Certain areas are more competitive than others. This is not, location, as they say in real estate, right? So I was selling a 10-unit building in the Pico Robertson area. This is a very highly prized area. A lot of interest in this property. And so because I'm in kind of the commercial space, a lot of times buyers will come to me and they won't be represented. They'll ask me to represent them, basically.
I wonder why.
So it's called dual agency, and not all states do it, but in California it's allowed.
That's a tough one because it's hard to please everybody and represent everybody.
It's very hard to please everybody, but it happens a lot more kind of in the commercial world.
Yes, that's what I hear.
So I wanted to read this text to you. So this is someone who reached out to me, who called me and was interested in purchasing the property. So I'll just read this to you. It's pretty wild.
Okay.
Hi, this is so and so. It was nice to meet you. Can I write the offer with you tomorrow? I'm thinking, okay, yeah, possibly. Then he tells me what my commission is. 75,000 commission. Can you help with putting part of the commission back in the deal? I have relative of mine can write it, but I want you to help me out. Thank you. I will try to be close to 3 million. Okay, let me give you some background here. The property is listed at over 3 million. And we've got multiple offers above 3 million.
Right.
And if I do end up writing this for him, my commission is actually in the 6 figures. It's not 75,000. So he's trying to tell me what my commission is. And so I wrote, it was nice speaking to you too, but I suggest that maybe you have your relative write the offer for you. We already have a couple offers on the table and I'm representing one. And I don't usually put my commission back in the deal.
I've been in that situation multiple times where someone says, hey, I'll have you represent me. You think I can get a better deal? And this is what I literally say. I say, let me get this straight. If I screw my seller, then I make more money? That sounds great. Are you kidding me? Of course not. Because we have to act as a fiduciary to our clients. And if it's
absolutely you do.
The only way to do it is to me, is with a dual agency is really, I know in your business it's one thing, but with residential, the only way to do it is if it's a friendly deal, like a neighbor wants to buy it, we're just structuring it, and then I put in some of my commission to facilitate.
My commission for the seller, and I try to make it obviously a win-win. Obviously,
win-win, yeah.
Try to clear it with them, but this went back and forth for a while. It was kind of wild, and then I just finally stopped responding because he went on this kind of interesting rant. He says, okay, I'm just reading this, okay? This is not. They will lock you in escrow, then they will bring their friends to write down all kinds of expenses. They'll bring you down and waste several months. Please tell the seller and we'll give him blessings forever. I don't play games, but I can't go any higher. But whatever God wants, it will happen. Tell this, please, okay. Please, just give my offer to seller. Please, I appreciate you and bless you forever. My children and grandchildren and great grandchildren, no loan contingency, no appraisal. I will take it as like he's just like he's everything at. I'm like, wow. With his children and grandchildren.
Oh my gosh, you will be blessed forever.
I will be blessed forever.
Will, how do you turn that down? You know, just give the guy $75,000. Give him the deal that's less than everyone else that's on the table. Screw your seller, but be blessed forever.
Be blessed, and his children and his grandchildren.
Oh, that is sweet. They're gonna have a picture of you on the mantle.
Sweet note.
Yes, there's a picture of this is Will. He screwed his seller so that we can get a good deal. This is crazy. Oh, people.
Okay, so another story I was thinking about. So I have a background in international relations. I was, I have a bachelor's and master's in international relations. I worked for the Clinton administration and the Bush administration as an international economist. So I was kind of trained to be a diplomat. And I never thought I would need those skills in real estate, but in LA, that does happen. So I was representing buyer and the seller. I have high respect for both because they're both very ancient, wise that know way more than I do, right? They are also both, at least in my own personal experience, that don't really experience win-win very well. Usually there's a winner and a loser, and they're not going to be the loser. So, yeah, I remember when I got that deal into escrow, and we went back and forth, and I ended up getting like $200K off for my buyer. Various things, and it was very painful on all ends. But when that deal finally lifted all contingencies, I felt like I should get a Nobel Peace Prize for that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Having like just two very different, I'm sure you deal with this. It's just like, you get buyers from different perspectives, and they're just like, it's hard for them to accept that, like, no, this person isn't trying to, completely screw you. It really does have these problems in the property,
And
so
yes. No, I think that's what we do all day long is we work as diplomats, trying to keep everybody together, trying to make sure it's a win-win. And I mean, I had a conversation with a buyer, or actually a seller today, and she says, yeah, well, I want to put my condo up at 1.6, and I'm going, and I said, I see it was at 1.8 at one point, and I said, okay, do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to candy coat this? How do you want me to do it? She goes, why? What do you think? I said, these units are going for $650 a foot. You're at between, maybe $1.4 million, $1.45. I'm so sorry, but that is the reality of what you're looking at, and the way it was priced, basically gave your property, I don't know, it made it stale. And so people are going to think you're unreasonable. So we're going to need to really change the look of this, change the pricing strategy. But if it's not the right time, let you know. But sometimes people just, they have to hear the truth. But when they can't hear it, I might not be the fit.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not a good fit if if you want me to be a yes man. Let me just tell the truth, and then you're in charge. We'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's our jobs.
Boom.
And the last one more story, just because I do a lot of property management. So you see, if you're in property management, you see everything. You see how people live. You see all sorts of different types of people. And I gotta say, I love all of our tenants. Like I appreciate tenants, right? If you don't have tenants, you don't have a business, right? And tenants, they're obviously renters. They're looking for a place to live. They want a nice place. They want a safe place. They want a place that they feel comfortable. That's their home. You're providing a home for them, and you want to always try to make that home as comfortable as possible. We endeavor very strongly as property managers to always keep our properties up to date. Always, if there's a repair request, we endeavor to do it right away.
Mm-hmm.
There are times, however, when there are situations, and for us, it's often between tenants, where we get called in, and
Uh-huh.
and we have to. And these can be difficult situations because you're not exactly sure how to handle it. And I'm
Right.
going to give a story. So I had a property in North Hollywood, and we had two tenants. They lived one on two floors. One
Mm-hmm.
lived over each other, and we start getting messages from the upstairs tenant saying the downstairs tenant is acting a little funny, like just like at first it was just cold stares,
Mm-hmm.
then it was just like muttering, then it was like saying things out loud that were offensive,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then and we're like, okay, and then after a while they're like, okay, now we're kind of scared. They're like, so now she's accusing the husband of the
Mm-hmm.
couple upstairs. She's accusing the husband of sleeping with her ex and spreading AIDS around the complex. Or so
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, oh boy, now we're
Wow.
it's a whole different level.
Right.
So I mean, we do everything very much by the book. So we sent
Mm-hmm.
the the tenant a 3-day notice, and we said, please, stop. You need to stop, basically harassing another tenant, because that's it's against your lease to take away the enjoyment of the property from someone else. That you're in a co-living space. You're in a communal space, right? We're in apartments.
Right.
So everybody has to get along,
Right.
and it stopped for a little bit, but then it just kept going and it kept getting worse. And we finally got some documentation, which actually helped us, because then we could start to move forward with,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, getting like reaching out to a social, certain social services.
Right.
Uh, we did have to move forward with an eviction, but in some ways, like, that worked okay. Obviously, with the social service, because they were able to get that tenant who clearly needed help
Right.
into a facility where they really should be, rather
Right.
than something like this.
Uh-huh.
And unfortunately, that type of stuff does happen. There's and it's hard to deal with, because oftentimes it's not even a landlord issue, but they're asking you as the landlord to step
Mm-hmm.
in and do something.
Right.
And as a landlord, you're constrained on certain levels, because there are tenants' rights, and
Yeah.
they
Right.
have a right too. So you have to be careful here. So you just have to be very, very clear about
Right. Right. The one of the at the units my wife and I own, we came once to a property and we found out they were subletting it. And it was like, what are you doing? You can't sublet it. It's against the rules. And then so we told I talked to the person that was there, and I realized they were a little bit unstable. And so I said to my wife, probably better for you to come over, because I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. I might be a little bit intimidating to a situation. Plus the red hair and freckles.
it. Yeah, it's all about the red hair.
It's
The
serious
freckles.
hell. And then so my wife went over there, and by that point, this tenant had started living and moved all of her stuff out into the courtyard. And I'm going, oh no. And
Mm.
my wife was so wonderful. She walked up and saw what was going on. And instead of saying, you can't do this, bum, 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 said, come here, sweetie. Look, let us help you find a place, okay? We know this is going to be really difficult and stuff, but this is how we support our family, blah, blah, and talked her through it and everything. The girl, clearly unstable. If anything, we empathized with her. We felt for her. But at the same time, we couldn't have her in the unit. It was,
No, yeah, no, because you have other tenants that have to live there too.
yeah.
So
How nice, though, when you can your strength comes from kindness. That was the way my wife handled it, because my wife, she's a tough one from the standpoint of, she used to produce a major sitcom. Everyone was afraid of her because she got it done. She got it done. But there's so much heart there, and I was thinking, like, man, I love watching that. And so that
yeah,
that's how we've always, most of the time when we get things done, we get it done by doing it that way. We find the strength and okay, let's just talk this out. No one wants you to be evicted. You don't want an eviction, that kind of thing.
Right.
We
Exactly.
figure it out.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
these are
great.
fun stories. Not fun, but
I
it's
I have some really crazy ones if you want.
if you want to do one more, I'm
You
here
want
for
to
it.
do, you want to do a total off the wall one?
Let's
Okay,
do it. Let's do it.
let's do it. Okay, so I have a mixed use building in Boyle Heights. Boyle Heights is in East Los Angeles, and I it was a commercial space and it was a large space, and this was during COVID. Nobody wanted large indoor spaces. This is like more than 1,800 square foot space,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so it had been empty for a while. We hired a local agent to rent it out, and he comes to us. He's like, "Okay, I have someone. They want to do like some type of spa thing." And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, whatever. It's been empty for so long. It took them a while to get paperwork, which maybe should have been signed. But like, finally, they sent us paperwork. They sent us the application. We ran the credit. We ran the background check. It all came out great. So we're like,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. So, anyways, then they move in. A few months later, I get a call from my local property manager. Will, there's a SWAT team outside. And I'm like,
You're kidding.
are you serious? They're like, yes, there is a SWAT team outside. Apparently, the the applicant had turned the place into an illegal casino. And apparently I think they had like paid off the tenants or whatever not to say anything because we didn't hear anything from the other tenants.
Oh my
And
God. Wow.
9 hours to smoke them out, literally.
Uh,
And you know, whatever. After it's all said and done, like afterwards, months later, go down to the property and I meet with LAPD. I meet with the city attorney's office, and I
mm-hmm.
show them my file. Like I have a file this thick because I mean we don't like when we do this we normal check everything,
Right.
So I'm like, here's the file. Well, this is what we did to look this
Mm-hmm.
up. And they took one look at that file. Oh, they're like, oh wow, like usually people are not this prepared.
Uh-huh.
They're like, you're fine. You're fine. Let me tell you a little bit of history though, and then they proceed to tell us about all the different goings on and comes on. And apparently this is pretty common where it's not just in Boyle Heights, but all throughout Los Angeles where
How do they get away with it? How do they think I mean, how does it happen? I mean,
it,
is it
they get away
is it
with it for a little while.
well, but was it quiet and then they were discovered, or did it become big and then I mean, because I just don't know how do you get away with that without the neighbors knowing that it's going on?
Well, I think that, like I said, that's what I mentioned. That I think that maybe certain neighbors were, whatever, given something to be quiet. I would imagine, because
And,
otherwise, exactly, how would you not know?
Mhm.
Exactly. But I think it all depends on the neighborhood and what's going on there and stuff. So,
Oh
yeah,
my gosh. Well,
very.
I knew someone at one time that was running up a poker room, and I was thinking like, how do you get away with it? And it was everything was friendly, everything was quiet. This person would always go out of his way to take care of the neighbors, help them out, whatever they needed, keep things down. He was respectful, and I'm going like, well, I guess that's the way to do it here.
That's
That's
the
the
way
way
to
to
do
do
it. That
it.
actually reminds me. I had another very high end property that I was planning to turn into a tick for the owner, and he had been doing short term rentals, and there was a huge poker. These were very high end in West Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a poker table there, and I was told that yeah, they ran a poker thing, and they invited models and whatever. Like there was a whole like thing. It was a whole gambit. It was fascinating.
Wow, wow. Well, I guess we're in the wrong business.
Maybe we're in the wrong business, Scott. Now
Yeah, yeah. I think we're in the right business.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Well, those were great stories. I don't know the only reason it was well I divert the person I was talking to before you. Did I tell you who it was?
No.
Greg Garfield. He was patient zero for COVID in Los
Oh,
Angeles.
you mentioned. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so he starts talking about what he went through. Now he started telling that story about what he went through, and it's just really very emotional. It's heavy. It was a horror story, and how he overcame. And I'm going, And I said, he goes, what? He goes, now the rest of your stories are going to suck because you just told like one of the biggest stories ever. And now
Big
you're
one
going to tell
first. You need to learn to layer it. Like,
here's my Airbnb story. It's like it's not as exciting. But then he pulled it out though. He did pretty good. He did pretty good. Yes.
Patient zero. I mean, think about how scary that must have been.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when COVID started, we all thought we were going to die. Like, it was really scary.
Well, he'll have to. His is going to be out. It's greggarfield.com with 2 G's. Really interesting his story, and turns out he's in our same group, the networking group, and that's how I met him because I was advising him on some things. And so, yeah, really fascinating guy. Like someone I definitely want to get to know better.
Interesting.
He's a fascinating person. Yeah. All right, that's it. Your time is up.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was super fun. I appreciate it.
No, thanks for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it because